Quick question for you. Do you look after yourself? Do you have balance? And I suppose I'm pointing to self-care. And what pointed to me this particular subject was just recently a guy I've known for some 25 years just phoned me out of the blue in the last few days just to see how I was and see where I was in life, because we hadn't spoken for some 3 or 4 years. And this was a really nice guy that I'd done business with some 25 years ago, or somewhere around there. We began doing business. He financed vehicles and things for my company at that particular time. And this guy was a very thoughtful, clean living guy. He probably was a little overweight at the time, and he knew that, but he didn't smoke, didn't drink, and most of all, he, interestingly enough, used to help other people all the time. In other words, he used to look after others all the time, wherever that showed up for him, and it showed up in family and friends, people that were ill, and he'd suffered a little bit himself with illness. But at the time I was exercising in a routine a couple of times a week. I hadn't got into meditation at that particular time. I was still very driven and operating from the unconscious mind like most of us do. But interestingly enough, he admired the fact that I took time to exercise on a really busy schedule 2 or 3 times a week. He didn't actually exercise 2 or 3 times a week. And then my story came to January 2018. Without boring you, I closed my business down, I put it into administration, and at that time I thought the world had ended. And I explained that to him, and he was in a similar position. He hadn't been looking after himself. He'd been looking after his brother, who sadly he lost to pancreatic cancer. He also had had 13 operations in the last couple of years himself. And he got COVID in March of this year. And his GP actually said to him, due to his underlying conditions, that she didn't actually think he would make it through. So that prompted the phone call. Interesting how people phone me out of the blue. And we had a conversation around self-care. And I pointed to various things he could do, such as meditation, and perhaps just start a bit of exercising, and I still exercise. But he also pointed about changing lifestyle, and my lifestyle, like his, was forced to change at that particular time. Mine was in January of 2018, and it took me down this rabbit hole of supporting others and not being so driven, and that money isn't everything. But interestingly enough, for me at the time, that was like jumping off a cliff without a parachute, which is where my friend is right now. He's going to look at his lifestyle, he's looking at taking a step back, looking after himself, his family, and not being so driven and looking after others. And that frightens him. And of course his income will suffer, like mine did at the time back in 2018. But interestingly enough, through synchronicity, through learning to allow all this to happen through self-care and being more grounded and operating out of the unconscious mind and into a more centered place, my income is probably somewhere around where it was, with other sources of income being developed as well to create more and more. So the point is, self-care is so important. Exercise, meditation, and doing inner work if you're called to. And that's what, to me, is the secret of longer life and happier life and more joy and abundance. But the big one is being, and this is one where most people struggle, is being grateful and accepting for what we've got right now. Whether we think that is enough or not, whether we feel that there's more to be had, The point being, if we're grateful for what we have right now, it's amazing how, and accept where we are right now and stop fighting it, it's amazing how this synchronicity begins to develop. And I know this because I've been doing a lot of work for the last 3 years, and I've experienced a lot of synchronicity around there. So just thought I'd share that with you. Self-care is so important. Self-care, even meditate. If you're a meditator, meditate into self-care and lean into it. And don't forget, be grateful for where you are in life. Thanks for listening to me. My name's Stephen Bones, and we'll speak soon.